I'm Adrian, mechanic at Venom Motorsports, and today we're going to go over the process of assembling the Kodiak 200 model. Alright, the first step to get started is to remove the entire cage, all the metal, basically the whole metal box. For that, we'll need a size 14 socket. And you can do it with whatever you want. You can use an impact gun like this, a ratchet, whatever works best for you. Usually, these types of bolts have a nut on the back that's either 1/2 inch or 13 millimeters. But honestly, I don't really use another wrench to take it off. So, if you need to, you can use one, and it'll make things easier. But right now, I'm not going to need it. Before making the video, I had already removed some screws, some bolts. Basically, what we need to do now is cut the zip ties, which are these right here. What we do is use it could be an ice pick, a knife, or scissors like these. I use one. We've already removed all the screws. We can lift the box. Once we've taken off the whole cover, we're going to remove all the parts inside. Well, first we have to gather up all those metal pieces, right? But we also have to make sure to cut all the zip ties, because sometimes they're tied up a bit and we can't remove them. We can't take out all the parts. Thank you. And now we'll have to remove
in this part. Remove the screws that are responsible for holding the rear section in place, making sure to keep them safe, as these screws are necessary for securing the rear part to the rest of the assembly.
That would be, it's easier for me to lift it by hand and set it up like two towers with the same ones that are the bases for the cars. I'll show you in a moment. But in the same way, if someone has a jack available, a hydraulic jack, it's a better idea. It's easier and well, you put your, let's say, your back or something like that at less risk. But at least for me, for my convenience, since I'm used to doing this pretty often, well, I do it that way. That doesn't mean it's the right way to do it. I use two of these. Oh, I don't know why. It doesn't want to lift because this is down. I'm just going to push it forward a little and take it out. Next, we're going to put on the brake hardware, which goes on the rear disc here, and for that we're going to need a 10mm wrench or a 10mm socket. Oh, maybe I'll use the socket instead, but well, we'll see. We have to remove the bracket that's here between the shock, which usually it's around this area. It might be a little bent, but we can straighten it out. Well, I mean the hoses. So it also has, sometimes it comes with a little piece of plastic here that separates the brake pads, which are the brake pads themselves. So, okay, let's take a look at this. Okay, they should be visible around here. I don't know if you can see it. There are two holes. Well, one is going to be there, and the other one is going to be a little higher up. There's going to be a screw there, and I'll show you which one it is in a moment.
We're going to use 2 of these. I love this part. Yeah. So yesterday we ran out of space to keep recording, but today we're going to continue. Today we have a bit more space to keep going with the video. So let's do it, and the next step. I mean, usually I like to start with, like, the rear grille. That's what we call the back grille. It's also a bit. It's actually pretty easy to put on. Here, let me show you. Okay, so basically, this is what the first part of the back grille looks like, the rear grille. And well, it's kind of like a bracket. This is really more like a support to hold things up. It only takes 4 screws. Look, 1, 2, 3, 4. The ones that go on the chassis. And then there are another 4 that are already part of the grill. Well, part of the grill. Okay. These are also 10 millimeters. Almost all the screws we're going to find on this ATV are pretty much this type, this size. Now, using our 10mm socket wrench, just as we did before, carefully repeat the same process on the other side of the component. Make sure to follow each step thoroughly and double check your work to ensure everything is secure and properly tightened. This one always comes with a rear light, which is the headlight here, and we shouldn't forget to connect it. It has its plug right here, and you just click it in, and that's it. Now it's time for the big grill. It's this one. It's also very easy to put on. And in a moment, we take another 4 screws again. They're not exactly the same ones we used on the other one here, but they're basically the same.
Again, we're going to use our 10mm socket. Let me show you. I think the camera is not focusing very well right now. Here it is, right here in my hand. This is the 10mm socket, which is a very common size for bolts in automotive work, and it's perfect for this particular job. We're going to do the same thing as before, using this tool to carefully loosen and remove the necessary bolts. As we proceed, we just need to make absolutely sure here that the grill doesn't come into contact with the plastic components. It's really important that it's not pressing or rubbing against the plastic at all. This is because, over time, with the vibrations that naturally occur while driving, any contact could cause wear or even damage to the plastic parts, which we definitely want to avoid. So take your time, double check the alignment, and make sure everything is clear and secure before moving on. That way, in the future, you won't have to worry about anything coming loose or getting damaged due to vibration, right? And now we're going to move to the bottom part, near the tires, over there. Basically, just as you see it, this ATV, this four-wheeler, this is how they come when they're brand new, right? This bike is completely unused, and well, we're getting it up and running again. Before putting the tires on, I almost forgot that we need to inflate them, because sometimes we put them on and they don't have enough air, and then they don't get the right pressure that's needed. Well, once they're already mounted, right? So, these have a resistance of about 24 psi, which is 24 pounds. I think you can go up to 25 at most, but I recommend using 20, because anything more would be too much. Besides, it's an off-road tire, so it doesn't need to be that inflated. That's good. It's very important that all the tires on your vehicle are set to the exact same measurement, which means they should all have the same PSI, or pounds per square inch, of air pressure. Having each tire at the same PSI ensures that your car handles properly and that the tires wear evenly over time. To check this, you should use a reliable tire pressure gauge to measure each tire and make sure the readings match the recommended PSI listed in your vehicle's manual. Keeping all the tires at the correct and equal pressure is essential for both your safety and the overall performance of your vehicle. I think this one uses nuts that are 15 millimeters, I believe. They're called bead nuts. And it only needs 4. There are 4 on each one. I like to put them on. Some people use torque wrenches to tighten them. Everyone kind of has their own style. But honestly, I like how they turn out with the impact gun. For me, it's really, really efficient. So, it's the same process for all 4 tires. But for now we're just going to put on these 2 so we can move on to the front and put on the front ones. Because over there the process is a little different. So, we're going to go step by step. Here it is. This is our 15 millimeter. 15. And we're going to tighten it. Remember that always. The 4-bolt studs should be tightened on the same piece in a crisscross pattern, like an X. That allows whatever you're tightening to settle evenly. What happens? It's a matter of work. We just give it another squeeze.
to make sure we're good before moving on to the next one. Okay, right now I was about to put on the rear tire, the one we're missing here. But I think it's a better idea, since we have a bit more space in this whole area. To put in a, what do you call it? To put in the box for the battery. It is another bracket that only needs 2 more volts. And maybe we'll put the battery in first before anything else. This goes more or less in this position, right here where these 2 holes are. And this is where the battery connects. This is the bracket, this is the battery base. We're going to put it here with the screw. They're the same screws, also the same as the ones that were up here, on the griot bracket and on the griot as well. $10mm. Okay, before we put in the battery, before we put on the tire that's missing there, I think it's a good idea to learn how we're going to activate our battery that we have here. I put this rag here, this little cloth, because sometimes our batteries come with a can. With this little, how should I call it? Like an acid container, a little extra. Sometimes this acid comes with a little extra, and you have to be careful because it can spill outside the battery. That's why I put this little cloth here. It's always recommended to use gloves for this. I'm going to put one on. Because you really have to be careful. This can be a little dangerous for everything. If it gets on your skin, make sure to wash it off quickly. If it gets on your clothes, take them off because it can. It's not going to cause a fire, but still. The same solution that this acid has is, so it eats through your clothes. I have these pants right here. I don't know if you can see it, but this is the one I normally use for work. They're torn because battery acid got on them. So, more or less, those are the consequences. Also, the fumes that come from this kind of stuff are a bit. Well, they're a bit. You have to be careful with them. Oh, I think it's starting to get cold. Bend. To move the plastic, the wrap. This covers it and comes. In the acid, you shouldn't throw it away. This is what we're going to use to seal our battery. That's always for putting that on. What you have to do is maybe give it 2 pretty strong hits so that. Because this comes a bit tough, but here it has. It has some little points that are. Like for breaking those tabs here.
No, it's this aluminum here that seals it. So we put it in this position and we give it a few drops of this. The acid level has to go down. It has to react. Normally, there are times when it takes a little time. I like to make a little hole for them to breathe, but right now, since I don't want to spill so much acid, well, no, I'm not going to do it so I can have a little control over how the acid is going down. On this other side, I think you could.
Okay, so since this one isn't going down as much, I'm going to make a small hole in it so it can breathe and go down, but I'm not sure if the acid will spill out. In case it does, well, I need to be careful, you know, not to touch it much, not to come into contact with it, because it's an acid, it's a toxic substance. So now the level is going to go down a little faster here. Let's see, hopefully it won't spill, because sometimes they come with a little extra, so you have to be kind of careful. You have to try to control it. Looks like this one didn't have any extra acid left, so it's not going to spill. Excellent. Good. So you have to be very careful with this, because these little drops can cause, well, something more. They could cause a small accident and, well, we don't want that. So carefully we remove it, and for now we don't really have any extra here. Nothing came out of the battery. So now it's time to use this other thing we said to keep aside. We just put it here and give it a few taps so that it gets properly sealed. You have to try to put it all together at once, because if you don't, if it's not like that before you tap it, if you go one by one, it won't go in. So, I'm going to use this one. So, it's just waiting a bit, letting it go all the way down, and it'll seal itself, it'll seal. I recommend that you should wait about 5 minutes before connecting this to the motorcycle, before connecting the battery so that the acid can work with the what's it called? With the cells that are inside, so it can react. So it needs about 5 minutes or so for this battery to activate. And it's normal if it gets a little warm. If instead of staying cold the whole time, it becomes a bit warm, a little hot, there's no problem. That just means it's having a reaction inside. Like I already mentioned, it's just like the reaction between the acid and the cells. So when you seal it, there's a bit of pressure it creates. Well, it creates a little bit of pressure. How can I explain it? Yeah, well, it creates internal combustion. So you just have to wait about 5 minutes, and then you can install it back over there again. Over here. Okay. So, 5 minutes have passed. The battery is a little warm, which means there is a reaction happening. Sometimes, when they get really over hot, like super, really hot, it could mean that the battery isn't in good condition or something like that. It's better that if it comes out excessively hot, to the point where you touch it and it burns you, don't use it. But in this case, this one came out perfect. This one is fine. And so, now we're going to connect it. It usually almost always comes with this kind of bag and these screws. I think they're Phillips, crosshead screwdriver. Always try to connect the negative first before the positive. We put on our nut. Another one. Screwdriver or Phillips.
Now we're going to do the same with the positive. I don't know if I already said this, but with a battery, you should always try to connect the negative first and then the positive. That way, we protect our CDI. We won't have electrical problems in the future. At least, I think so. This is going easier. Okay, so we're going to leave this up here. This is the fuse box. We're going to put it up here, and up here it has a rubber strap, which is to try to make sure the battery doesn't move, doesn't shift from its position. Because sometimes, as you know, usually, when we use this particular type of ATV for off-roading adventures, there's always a lot of shaking, a lot of movement, and honestly, quite a bit of jostling around. So, the battery can actually come loose, which is exactly why we put the strap on it, just to make sure it stays secure and doesn't move. This one connects from the back, right there where, well, I don't know if you can see it clearly, or if it's really noticeable on camera, but it has, like, a hook, and it connects right there to that metal part, making sure everything stays in place. And we just stretch it, and it just goes around. Alright, now let's put on the next wheel. Okay, I'm going to move the camera a bit. We need to pay attention. We need to make sure that the rear wheels are always a bit wider, a bit broader. So, it's not, maybe the difference isn't that big, but this one is slightly more. It's a little bit thicker, puffier. So, yeah, basically that's the only thing you need to pay attention to. Also, the direction of it comes with the air pressure valve facing outward and with and they have one. The direction of the tire is this part always goes facing forward. So basically it goes like this. There's the damn axle. And again, we're going to use the 15. Same as before. Since I'm going to use one of those same blue stands, those over there, I'm going to lower the bike from there now. It's recommended that if you can do this with 2 people, it's much better. It'll be a lot easier. But, well, I'm making this tutorial to show you how to do it by yourself. Also, if anyone has another type of tool that's a bit more efficient so you don't hurt yourself while taking things apart or anything like that, it's totally fine to use it too. This is just the method we're using for now. So if anyone has a better one, that's great, go ahead and use it.
For the front part, I'm only going to use one. Likewise, maybe for the front part, if 2 people are needed, I know how to do it by myself. But for someone who's a bit newer, I guess it would be a good idea to get a partner to help, someone who can assist. And also, to be extra safe, so we don't end up accidentally breaking a hose, a caliper line,
or something else that might be easier to break and would then need to be replaced. Basically, what I do in this situation is try to carefully and gently lift it from the frame itself. And I always make sure that the center part of the same frame stays up there on top, exactly where it should be. Since we already have the two rear wheels in place, this will stay in the middle, so it won't move in any direction at all. Done. I think I'm going to now. Let's start with the spring, with the shock absorber, the suspension, whatever it is. Let's take it out from here. Let's see what we're going to do. Let's put it. Well, this is going to be the first thing we do. I don't remember. I think these are 13 millimeters. This goes in this position. I'm not going to put it in. I'm going to cut this one. Now we have this one. It's the same as the one for the tire. For the wheel, it's a 15 millimeter. I like to start with this part because I feel like it's easier to handle everything. Like it's easier to work this way. So we need to make sure this goes on the front side. Here we leave our brake caliper and everything. We leave it there and we're going to continue with this one. Again, we take another bolt and another nut, another screw and another nut. We put it in and now we can tighten it. It's the 13 millimeter. I don't know if it's visible, but it's and the number 15 wrench, which is right here. Now we're going to put, I think the next step, yes, is going to be to put the caliper and everything, and all the control arm and all of this first. Usually these ATVs come like this without the pressure washer that's needed. But they almost always send it in a bag. To put this on, it's pretty simple. You just put it like this. You look for your pressure washer, your pressure ring, and you just put it there. And now you can put on the nut. You can put on the bolt. Don't forget to put the lock that goes inside. Well, this one has a hollow shaft. I don't know if you can see it clearly there. This hollow shaft needs to be secured with a clip that they give you. It's a lock. Okay, now it's tightened.
We found our lock. We put it on. And then we just bend the lock. And now it's the same process on the top part. I think for the next wheel I won't need to explain the same steps. I'll just do it and, well, I don't think it's necessary. So, here on this side, I'm going to explain everything in detail, and on the second wheel, the left wheel, you'll be able to see the process without me explaining it, but faster. Again, the same washer. We put on the knot. We're going to tighten it. Also, sometimes it's actually a really good idea to have a socket, one of those flexible ones, to put it here and use it with the torque wrench. Done. And now, next is the control arm, the steering.
This one already comes with the washer included. So basically, you don't have to look for it in the bag. It is a 19mm socket. The 3/4 one works too. Done. Again, remember, the tire always has to go with these arrows facing forward. So, same thing. The front right side is already completely done. Basically, this is how it should look. Let's go ahead and put on what could be the clip for the hose, the front brake hose. This one. Normally, with vibration, this can come off easily, so in the bag, I think it's in the where the title comes, I'm not sure. Somewhere among the accessories that come with the bike itself, the parts like the screws and everything, there should be some ties, some zip ties. And you need to use one of them and put it here, and then after that, just cut off the excess. This is for safety so that later on it doesn't come off, and with the friction, it could break from rubbing against a tire or co. It could get out of position and you could end up without brakes. And well, that would be pretty bad.
losing your brakes on a motorcycle is not the best idea. So, for safety, you should try to put it on like this. And, well, that's it. Basically, that's the process for doing this. I'm going to do it on the other side now, maybe a little faster. Look, I'm not going to be moving the camera around so much or trying to focus on everything super specifically, because on this side it's exactly the same process as on the other side.
Here is the front part. Okay, so this maybe could be maybe a bit tricky to put on, or, well, let's try to make it simpler, because it's a part you have to put on, kind of like. So what I always do is try to secure the first ones in the middle part here. So now I can. That way, I only have to control it. So then, just at the top and bottom, and put the rest of the bolts, of the screws. It's basically like that. With this screw, which is a 5mm, they almost always come in green. We put it here, that way it won't move anymore. We also need to look for others that are 5mm, those screws. Usually there are 2 more, which are longer ones. I'll show you in a moment how those are installed. The other 2 screws look more or less like this. They're a bit longer and the shape of the head is different. We put those in, I'm not sure if you can see it clearly here. They have to go through the metal underneath as well. I'm going to switch the camera now so you can see it from underneath. And you need to secure them with these nuts. I'm not sure if it's visible, but from here I can kind of see the bolt a little bit. Maybe it's going to be a little blurry. This one. The one I'm touching here is the screw that was just put in, and I'm putting the nut on it. This nut is 10mm, so we're going to need a 10mm wrench and a number 5 Allen key to tighten both things. I leave everything, or at least try to leave everything, a little loose, at least in sections, just a bit loose. So that, when it's time to,
Tighten everything. All the parts get tightened evenly. Well, more evenly. That way, so we can tighten everything uniformly. I think that was the first time I was asking. Number 5 on number 10. But I think first he's going to put in the bottom bolts, the screws all the way at the bottom, even though those will be the last ones. For this bridge, it only uses about 8 screws. Basically, we already have all the screws in place. Now we just have to tighten them. Right now, we're going to move onto the ones at the very top. We're going to use our number 10 wrench on the bottom part, which I already showed you, and the number 5 here. And that's it. This is how this part looks. Now I think we're going to put on the handlebar, and then we'll move on to the side kicks, which are the parts at the bottom. The footrests, well, I don't quite remember the exact name for them at the moment, but I think they're called footrests. You know, those parts where you place your feet while sitting, to make yourself more comfortable. Honestly, I don't know how this is going to sound, or how some of the parts I'm mentioning will sound with the translation, with the AI, but well, let's see if they sound different. Oh well, right? To put on the handlebar, you have to try to keep it straight. We're going to use these parts here. It usually comes like this, with bubble wrap. To put these on, we're going to need a socket or a number 6 Allen key, because the screws look like this basically. I recommend that if you have it on hand, it's not strictly necessary, but if you have some automotive grease or something like that, it's a good idea, because sometimes with friction, they can. If you don't put it in the right way, you might have some kind of, like a problem in the future, since this screw, being so long, can go in crooked and, well, you could cause some issues. That's the number 6 Allen key. I'm going to show you the way that, for me, is the easiest. I put the bolt here, the screw. I put it together with the cap. I always put the cap more or less in this position. I grab this, like this, and over there. I put in the screw, but I don't tighten it. I don't make it go all the way down. So that way I kind of have the freedom to control all of that. Like the area, well, not the area, but to have a bit of play, like some space so I can put the other part in, you know. You don't have to. Right now I'm going to screw these in, but you don't have to screw them in all the way. But it's going to end up, the handlebar is going to be left without, you know, without being fully tightened or anything like that. No, it won't be tightened. So, since they're already in place, they're going down evenly. Now it's just about fixing this one. We put it here and anchor it. These get tightened exactly the same way as on the wheels. You carefully tighten them in a deliberate manner, making an X-shaped pattern.
Okay. This is how it looks with the handlebar already installed. Now I think the next step is... I think this is going to be the last step. It's just putting on the side skirts, which are these things. I don't know what they're called in Spanish. They must be some kind of footrest or something like that. But this part right here. Okay. Now we have to tighten this one, which is it's the brake for. Well, it's the emergency brake. It's for then basically, we need to use an 8mm, a socket wrench. And on the other side we have what's it called? The throttle. This one right here. This one also needs a process to be able to use it properly. They almost always come with a lock, which is a screw. So, you have to remove it so it works this way, so it works properly. To begin this process, you'll first need to gather a Phillips screwdriver, which is also commonly referred to as a crosshead screwdriver. This particular tool is essential because it allows you to remove the two screws that are securing the component in place. Carefully insert the Phillips screwdriver into the head of each screw and turn it counterclockwise until both screws are fully loosened and can be taken out. Once you have successfully removed these screws, you will also require an Allen key, specifically a number 5 size. The Allen key is necessary for the next step, which involves loosening and removing this particular part right here. Make sure to use the correct size Allen key to avoid stripping the bolt or causing any damage. By following these steps and using the appropriate tools, you'll be able to safely and efficiently take apart the section as needed for your project. I think the main point of doing this is to be able to remove this part right here.
This right here is just, well, letting the base be, because it's free. We can leave this as it is. It really doesn't matter. This is basically a governor. I think that's what it's called. I don't really know. Well, yeah, basically I don't know how it worked. Governor. Regulates the acceleration of the motorcycle. So if you want to let someone with less experience use it, you can adjust the screw end. Prevent it from activating like all the power of the bike. A moment ago I put gas in the tank, but I think it didn't show up in the video. And I think from here on it should be ready to start up. Always, to start a motorcycle like this, almost all automatic motorcycles need you to apply some pressure to the brake in order to start it. So I'll record that. We press the brake. Oh, come here, okay? We press the brake. We have to make sure that this down here, this one, has 2 positions. Like this, I'm not sure if you can see it or not. If you can see this one here, that's right. Now let's go to the last step. Which, when you put this, I still don't quite remember exactly what this is called, because it has several correct names. I think I already mentioned them, but I'm not sure exactly what the name is right now. This basically goes like this. Just like that. You just have to make sure that all the holes line up. These have some holes inside through which a screw has to go. and it's just one screw that you see. They're Allen screws, size 5, and they also use a lock nut on the back. This one is size 10. I think this one only uses about 7 screws. And there are 2 more that go on the bottom part. Sometimes the bikes come from the factory like this. They're missing, like the hole, the opening. I mean, it's kind of there, but you just have to break it open. I like to use this tool to do it. Yeah. As you can see, it's simple. You don't really need to use any force to make the hole. I think I'm going to fast forward the video because I don't want it to get too boring, but in a moment I'll explain clearly what's needed. Well, what's the point of all of the screws and everything? But first I'm going to show you more or less what I have to do. Each of these parts has a hole where a screw should go. It needs to be aligned. Here we've already put in 3, over here on the other side too, and down here it needs 2 more. This is so that everything isn't, loose, so it's not wobbly. So, to keep the video from getting too boring, I'm just going to put in the screws and then I'll show you how it turns out. Okay, so basically all they are already installed. I really need to stop saying basically. I wish I could count how many times I said it in this video, but anyway. All the screws are in, there's no more movement, everything is nice and solid now. I put in an extra one here. So, basically, this is how the bike looks all put together. It's a bike that, in my opinion, really pretty. Great for off-road riding. Here are the seat ties I mentioned earlier for the front brakes. And here's the box with the accessories. Here's the title and everything. There are some reflectors. I think this is an emergency charger for the battery. Some extra things you might need. All of this comes included with the motorcycle. So, that's it. Let's try to start it up again. Remember your brakes so you can turn it on. And there you go. Ready to go home.